The bigger issue, I think, is the one that just kind of blew my mind yesterday when I saw this on Twitter. I did not know who SoFi was. I'll just confess right up front. SoFi, I knew it was a bank of some kind or a finance company, but that's all I knew. And then I saw this tweet from Bernie Sanders yesterday during the game, because I was multitasking, as I am wont to do. And Bernie tweeted out, "So how does it happen that SoFi, a student loan refinancing company, could spend $625 million to put its name on the LA Rams football stadium when 45 million Americans are drowning in $1.8 trillion in student debt? Today would be a good day for the president to cancel student debt." Now, I realize that, there's a lot of other stuff going on in the world. You've got Ukraine on the brink. In fact, there's widespread speculation that Wednesday's kind of the do or die for Russia to decide whether they're going to invade or not, or for some conflict in the eastern part, the Donbass region, to just spread and provide that pretext. Nobody knows. Donald Trump apparently this morning was praising President Putin and trashing President Biden in the context of this. Which has got me scratching my head. So, you might say, well, student debt, this is not the crisis issue. I think it is. Certainly it's not as big a deal as the possibility of a nuclear war. But student debt is one of the, and my rant from the previous hour was, give us back our middle class. Well, before Reagan, a big piece of being American in the United States, growing up in the United States, was that you could go to college if you just worked a summer job. You could pay for your tuition with a summer job or with a part-time job. My mom did that. I did that. She graduated. I didn't. But, it's like, student debt was not a thing. I've said this a million times. I'll say it one more time. When I was going to school when I was going to college in 1960, well, in the late 1960s, I knew one person who had student debt, and he was working on his master's degree, and he's still a friend. We still correspond. But I didn't know anybody who had student debt. I mean, it wasn't a thing. There was no SoFi. There weren't, multi-million-dollar companies. So here's this company that was able to scrape $625 million off the top from all the profits they're making on 45 million people having student debt, something that pretty much literally does not exist, or at least not at this level of crippling people in their lives and crippling an economy, does not exist in any other developed country in the world. There are hundreds of thousands of American students studying in Europe right now. There's like 7,000 of them in Germany because tuition is free. In some of these countries, not only is tuition free, but they pay you a stipend, a couple $100 a month for room and board and books. Not so in the United States. Now, when it was that way in the United States, before Reagan became governor of California, the University of California system was entirely free, or largely free. I mean, there were a few fees there, and it built America. That was the 70s, and this is how we put men on the moon. This is how we invented Velcro. This is how we invented the transistor and the integrated circuit and the internet and all of these things. I mean, this extraordinary boom that came out of the GI Bill in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. And just, low tuition. About 80% of the cost of going to college was covered by government, one way or another, by state or federal governments. And then, of course, you had the I believe it's 56, I may be wrong on the number, but you had, more than 50 land-grant colleges that Abraham Lincoln started by giving large chunks of land to universities and saying, or to start universities. This is how Michigan State University got started. Lincoln said, here's a bunch of land. Take this land and work it or sell it or do whatever you want. Make an endowment for your college so that you can offer free or very, very low-cost tuition to your students. And they did. According to data from the Department of Education, just canceling $50,000, which now this is the SoFi loans Biden can't cancel. because they're private. But government loans he can cancel. And that's about half of the student debt burden in the United States. Canceling $50,000 worth of student debt for all of the people who have government loans would wipe clean the debt burdens of 36 million Americans and allow them to start families, buy homes, start businesses, take risks, become entrepreneurs, put the economy back together. As Nina Turner tweeted out, and the Debt Collective, doubled down on, she said student loan providers should not have $625 million sitting around to buy naming rights to a stadium. It's immoral. And the Debt Collective, when they tweeted, they said, remember, your debt is someone else's profit. And that is so very much the case here. Now, let me just add another weird little twist to that, because as you know, the student loan debt was brought to you courtesy of conservatives, largely in the Republican Party back in the day, and this was Reagan's thing. In fact, when he was asked, after he ended free college in California as governor, he was asked why, and he said, I don't want to subsidize intellectual curiosity, and he called the students brats. And in fact, he said, if we need to have bloodshed, let it be, or something like, words to that effect. You could easily find the quote 4 days before the Kent State Massacre. That was Ronald Reagan. So those guys kneecapped our students. They also kneecapped our seniors. This is fascinating, right? Reagan in 1984, the Reagan administration, it came out of a commission. It was Alan Greenspan and Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who was a Democrat. Moynihan was a Democrat. Their commandment was figure out how to make Social Security stable, because the baby boomers are going to start retiring in 20 years, and it's going to be expensive. And so what they did was they doubled the Social Security tax, the tax that you and I pay into Social Security. But one of the other things that they did was they added a tax to Social Security. Now, prior to 1984, if you were retired, if you were over 65 and you were on Social Security, and there's a whole bunch of exceptions to that. You can get it as early as 62, quack. But basically, if you were retired and you were living on Social Security, you did not pay income taxes on that money. And Reagan said, no, we got, he went after tips. He went after Social Security payments. I mean, this was one of the 11 times that Reagan raised taxes on working class people. So I get this email from FreedomWorks, right, the right-wing group. And this is hysterical. Just listen, keep in mind, Reagan raised the tax on Social Security, put the income tax on Social Security. Dear Thomas, few things infuriate me more than seeing career politicians pick the pockets of hardworking Americans, and that's doubly true for our senior citizens. And one of the most egregious examples of the greed of big government politicians is the double tax on Social Security benefits, which forces senior citizens to pay even more of their fixed income to the IRS. That's why FreedomWorks is helping to lead the charge to pass the Senior Citizens Tax Elimination Act, H.R. 6590, a bill introduced by Representative Thomas Massey. Now, that's the guy who did the Christmas picture of him and his family with the AR-15s. That's the guy who, in the previous hour, I pointed out, said that Americans should have enough weaponry in their house that they can take on the U.S. government. So, anyhow, he is proposing to end Reagan's tax on Social Security. And then the letter goes on. Up until 1984, Social Security benefits were rightly exempt from the federal income tax. However, in 1983, greedy career politicians in Washington, D.C. did what they always do, found a way to take more of your hard-earned money, changing the IRS code to make Social Security benefits taxable income. Well, that was Ronald Reagan. Then they go on to say, America's seniors earned their Social Security benefits through hard work, and they deserve to see their benefits increased through the immediate repeal of the federal government's tax on Social Security. I agree. But isn't it amazing? The levels of cynicism, just absolute cynicism, that these right-wingers who will, sing the praises of Reagan all day long and then say those evil career politicians back in 1983 or 84 changed the Internal Revenue Code so that you have to pay income taxes on Social Security. Well, yeah, that was the Reagan administration. That's who it was. And the Republicans were running the show.